Remember last week we saw as Adam and Eve turned their back on God. They had listened to the serpent's lie, saying what God had given them was not quite enough. God was both angry and sad that Adam and Eve had not trusted him as a father. He had sent them out from the beautiful Garden of Eden that he had created for them. But God was also angry with the serpent, Satan, who was the one whose lies had led Adam and Eve astray. God told the serpent that one day he would be defeated by one of the descendants of Eve, the woman he had lied to. Two things would happen. The snake's head would be crushed, but the one who crushed him would have his foot bruised. This snake crusher was the deliverer. He was the rescuer, the one who brought hope, the one who would make things right. But who would he be? When would he come? Remember that the actions of Adam and Eve had left the world cursed. They had disobeyed God. They had sinned. Well, the deliverer that God had promised would reverse the curse. Everything this deliverer did would be to make right all the problems which sin had caused. Someone who would make the sick well again. Someone who would be a friend to the lonely. Someone who would bring joy to the mournful. Someone who would bring rest to the tired. Someone who would bring truth in a world of lies. Someone who would be a light in the darkness. Someone who could forgive guilty sinners. Someone who could even make dead people live. Doesn't he sound amazing? Who could this snake crusher be? We now see Eve and her descendants with this expectation of a deliverer to come. Adam and Eve soon have their first child, Cain. Could he be the promised deliverer? They then have another son, Abel. But Cain becomes jealous of his brother and kills him, the first murder in the world. It is clear that this is not the deliverer who will crush the head of the snake, and so they keep waiting. But the world doesn't seem to be getting any better. Later on in the first book of the Bible, we see as God is so sad and so disappointed with the world that he has created that he wants to start again. Only one man is faithful, Noah. Him and his family would be kept safe. And so the world is covered with water by God, while Noah and his family and the animals of the world are kept safe in a big boat called an ark. Was he the deliverer? Sadly, like his great-great-great-great-great-great-grandparents, Adam and Eve, he was tempted by fruit too. This time it was grapes that he turned into wine, and he too rebelled and sinned against God and was ashamed. Who then would be this deliverer? Well, hundreds of years later, God spoke to a man called Abraham. God told him that through him he would do amazing things. Even though he and his wife Sarah didn't have any children, God said that they would one day have as many descendants as the stars in the sky. God would also give his people a land that they could call their own. They would also be a great people who God would bless, but he would also bless many other nations through this descendant. Bless means to make them happier than they could ever imagine. It turns out the promise made about the snake-crushing deliverer was the same one promised to Abraham. This deliverer would not only defeat the serpent and reverse the curse, but they would also bring more happiness than we could ever imagine to many people. But when would they appear? They would have to keep waiting.